Okay, Olivia. All right. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah,
So if
absolutely.
you could just start, give me a little bit of information about yourself. So name, your major, the SIT program, and the term that you studied abroad.
So I'm Olivia Gert, and I'm studying environmental studies at University of Vermont. And I did the India Food Innovation Lab this summer. And I think I'm a senior. I'm actually moving to Brooklyn. I just got a job teaching. So that's a little bit about
Okay.
me. Yeah.
Okay, great. So when you decided that you first wanted to go ahead and study abroad, what
Mhm.
led you to choose SIT as your program?
A lot of my friends have studied abroad on SIT, not the India program because it was new, but in South Africa and in South America. UVM has a really good relationship with SIT. So I knew about the program and I knew that I wanted to go to India. And I happened to be a food systems minor. So the food lab was like perfect. So it all just fit in perfectly.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. So tell me about what it was like. Our food programs are set up a little differently in
hmm
terms of, the more traditional abroad programs. This is you
hmm
actually got to work on like a collaborative project at the end.
hmm
Can you tell me a little bit about what that process was like for you?
Honestly, it was one of the most meaningful experiences I've had. I like it. I don't even know how to talk about it. But I was living in a village and really close with my host family, and I felt like I was doing something that was actually contributing and collaborative rather than coming in as an outsider and telling people how to do something. We spent like 3.5 weeks just listening and observing and not really putting in our 2 cents about anything. And then at the end, my partner and I decided it would be a good idea to collect recipes from the village and different crops because a lot of kids are moving out into the cities and they're sort of losing their food culture. So it felt like we were doing something that was important, and that just made the project way more meaningful, and we were so much more engaged. So yeah.
That's fantastic. I think we forget a lot about entering a space, especially a new space, with
hmm
humility,
hmm
and that what listening, how important that is to
hmm
really just listen and reflect and be open to that.
Absolutely.
Um, was this your first time sort of conducting research like this?
Um, yeah, in the field. I mean, I'm an anthropology minor, so I've done participant participant observation and interviews more in the field, but definitely this was way, way more intensive and like very hands-on. Um, and it was like all of our time rather than for one class once a week or a few times a week, if that makes sense. So I'd done versions of research that were not as intense as this one.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely. Um, well, if you were to come across, someone who wasn't necessarily familiar with
hmm
SIT's modeling, especially something like the food program, the, the
hmm
the labs that are set up, how would you, in just one or two sentences, sort of how would you explain the framework of this particular program?
You are there to really learn and appreciate another way of life. And part of that is that DIE training that we had, the understand like cultural relativism and understanding that just because of you're American doesn't mean that you know how like your way of life is the right way of being. So just like that humility and to really practice that because you can learn about it in college, but to go somewhere else and to really, really challenge yourself was like huge for me on that program. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's great to hear.
hmm
Um, is there anything that you wish, that you had known before departing that you'd like to pass along to other students who are interested?
Maybe just like specifically for people going to India, just like cultural things like bathroom stuff. I didn't know anything about like Eastern toilets, and that's like a huge thing. That's so different. Um, and maybe just some of like the clothing, just really talking about it rather than reading a packing list, I think would have been helpful, but it's also fun to kind of learn as you go and to have a sense of humor about it. So,
Yeah, yeah, you can help certainly sort of nullify culture shock a little bit, but it's
yeah.
absolutely still, it's a part of expanding your learning boundaries.
Definitely.
Okay. Olivia, well, is there anything else that you would like to share that we didn't cover in this?
I mean, just that honestly, this trip was like the most meaningful experience. Like I'm still so close with the 5 people I studied with. I talk to them almost every day. We have an email chain. We're like pen pals with each other. It's like nothing else I've ever experienced. And I don't mean to be the cliche study abroad person, but like it's very true. So,
There's a reason it's a cliche, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's wonderful to hear that, especially, I mean, in a close-knit group like this, you guys are able to maintain that communication.
Definitely.
That's great. Okay, Olivia, well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me and sharing this information.
Definitely. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much.